And I've said this now a little bit redundantly, but I'll just keep saying it because it is the most important thing in the next 25 years. So I don't care what you like or don't like. You need to pivot your career to one of these two things if you want to be successful. Number one is that the marginal cost of energy generation is going to zero. Okay? You have wars, you have death, you have all kinds of geopolitics that pivot around natural resources and energy. What happens to a peace dividend in the world when you don't have to fight for that stuff because you have abundant energy? And the cost of making that energy is effectively zero, and it has no impact into the ecology of the world. Well, we're about to find that out. And when you take the cost of energy to zero, now it unlocks all kinds of other problems that before were impossible to tackle because it would be too expensive. So that's trend number one. Trend number two is that we have shifted the ability to calculate and solve any computational problem away from a CPU to these things called GPUs and ASICs and FPGAs. That's all fancy language for things are getting easier and easier to solve. Okay, there's a company in Silicon Valley called OpenAI. What are these things? These things are massive leaps in AI. Okay, these are models where you can type in something like, and then one of you guys should do it now. We can throw it up here, like, Wharton class of geniuses in the Renaissance style. Those are just words, and they'll translate it into an image. It's incredible, incredible technology. Okay, or GPT-3, where you can have a language model now where it can auto-write a book, and you will not know that it was not a human. That problem took $1 billion to solve. Microsoft gave OpenAI $1 billion. OpenAI turned around and gave $750 million of that right back to Microsoft to buy credits on Azure because it needed so much power and so much compute to solve that problem. Today, that problem will cost you $1 million to solve. Tomorrow, that problem will cost you $10,000 to solve. So the point is that we have removed power constraints and computing constraints. So think of some examples of these things. So for example, in life sciences today, you can go and now you don't need a scientist. So you don't need in vivo and in vitro speculation of drugs and molecules. You can just use a computer to simulate that. You can basically figure out the entire bounded space of 10 to the 33 molecules. One of you could figure out a solution to a rare disease. That's a $10 to $20 billion payoff per rare disease. It's worth your time. Partner up with somebody in the CS department and go figure out how to tackle that problem. Before it would cost you millions of dollars in power and compute. Today it costs you nothing. And then guys like us will basically feed that engine. We'll pay you to go and solve this. There's going to be all of this stuff that happens when basically everybody has a little, nuclear fusion reactor on their roof, which, by the way, is not an actual reactor. It's just a solar panel that collects energy from the true nuclear reactor in the sky, which is the sun. And you store it in your wall, and now you can do whatever you want, right? Do you see any country trudging into any other country to fight over oil when you have zero-cost energy? Just think about it. No. So you're going to rip apart and turn over trillions and trillions of dollars of the world economy. Your job is to get close enough to it to just grab a few of those shekels for yourself, put it in your pocket, and you won. But people overcomplicate the problem. But that's the answer.